welcome to this special COVID-19 School Committee election update. I'm BNEWS Director Rich Hosford, and I'll be moderating. With schools closed down for the rest of the academic year and questions hanging over what the fall may bring, we thought it was important to hear from the 4 candidates with the 2 open seats on the school committee that voters will have to choose among in the June 6th Burlington town election. They have graciously agreed to participate in this new style of communication we are all dealing with these days, video conference. So on the line, I'm joined by incumbent Stephen Nelson and newcomers Catherine Bond, Carl Foss, and Adam Sinesi. Welcome to you all. This evening, we are going to keep things short and to the point. I'm going to ask the candidates 2 questions about the current situation and their thoughts on the role of the school committee to address it. The order they are going to respond to has been generated by the website random.org in our attempt to keep everything as fair as possible. So let's get started. The first question, which will go to Steve first, is what do you see as the role of the school committee during this situation?
Well, thank you, Rich. That's an excellent question. We're kind of delving in uncharted waters here with remote learning. I think the role of the school committee is to monitor the progress of remote learning as we try and implement not only support instruction, but also implementing new instruction. And one of the things that the superintendent did today, which I was strongly in favor of, was to send out a questionnaire to all the parents so that we can get parent input on their experiences, how remote learning is going in their households, what recommendations they might have for improvement, and just to share with them what we're trying to accomplish, and to find out how their children are adjusting to this new way of learning. And we hope to get the results of that survey back sometime next week, and to have a forum at our school committee meeting in June to analyze that input and to see what steps we can take to make the online learning process work even better. So I think that's the role of the school committee, to try to make sure that we continue to develop the online learning programs and to analyze how they're going, and to try to find ways to make them even better.
Excellent. And now, same question to Adam. Would you like me to repeat it?
No, I understand the question. So I think there's a few different things that right now the school committee should be doing and is doing on some level. First, yes, we need to help roll out the distance learning plan. We're deep into the phases at this point, and it's been a mixed bag. I think it's a good dry run for next year, but it needs a tremendous level of improvement. My understanding from talking to the teachers is that there hasn't been a lot of direction from above, and there hasn't been much in the way of a chain of command. I hear with great frequency throughout the campaign trail, I've heard a lot of the candidates say, well, we've got certain jobs that we do, including we hire a superintendent or fire a superintendent. Well, I think those are 2 extremes. I think there's somewhere in the middle that requires managing a superintendent. And when I'm finding out as a candidate from teachers in the system that they're not getting information from above, that needs to be ironed out a little bit. My understanding is when they rolled out phase 3, they asked for clarification of what that would look like from the administration. They were told they would receive that and did not. The teachers are working far too hard. This isn't the teachers' fault. And this is no one's fault. Nobody wanted this. But we need to improve on distance learning so that next year, if we need to go back into this mode, we can pull a plan out of a drawer and be ready to go with it. In the meantime, we need to be planning and budgeting for next year. That is something the school committee is doing. I think every bit of infrastructure spending that does not go towards instruction, safety, or a piece of equipment that is at the end of its useful life, if we're overspending in other areas that are nice to have, I look at further down the line that those could be jobs, and we want to save jobs. So for example, the football field that has not been taken off the docket yet for $500,000, that's 5 to 7 jobs right there. Just get that off of the docket. Don't even bring that to town meeting. Outside of that, I think we also need to be planning as to, I think our plan A should be putting the students back into the classroom next year. And we need to be ready and flexible for what that's going to look like.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you,
Sorry.
Rich.
Same question. Carl, would you like me to repeat it?
No, thank you, Rich. I appreciate the opportunity tonight. And as far as the role of the school committee, one aspect that I see is that of kind of a conduit and a sounding board for every stakeholder that is involved in the process. I was very glad to see the parent survey that went out today, and I was also very glad to learn about the forum that's going to be coming up, and I hope it happens as soon as possible. One thing about the survey that I was disappointed to learn is that it did not include the soliciting feedback from families with students that have out-of-district placement. I think that their experience with distance learning is important as well. There are lessons to be learned from the programs that these students are in, and I think that at this point in the game, any information that we can solicit from whatever the source can be valuable. So going back to kind of the conduit of information, I think the school committee can really use the information that they gather from all these stakeholders, from the parents. I am hopeful that the administration and Dr. Conti and as well as the principals will solicit information from teachers as well as students, especially students at the middle and high school level. They're the ones that have to be the most independent in this distance learning format, and their feedback is critical as well. All this feedback all this feedback that we gather, I'm hopeful that it is kind of distilled down and analyzed, and the plans that we make moving forward over the next 3 months are reflective of the voices of all the stakeholders involved: parents, students, teachers. Everybody has been thrust into this role, and everybody's making it up as they go along. And so as we move forward, we need to make sure that everybody's voice is heard. The school committee can play a big role in that. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you. And Catherine?
Thank you. So again, a lot's been said, but I think that the role of the school committee is going to, again, listen to the teachers, the parents, and the students, and figure out what needs to be done to improve the distance learning within the DESE requirements. I was proactive in contacting the school committee this week and asked them to allow parents to speak at one of the upcoming meetings, hoping it will be the next one or the one after. Again, it was from speaking to parents and from looking at what's been going on social media. I felt that there's really a need for the parents and even students and teachers to be able to approach the school committee and talk about their ideas and discuss what's working and what's not working. I requested that before I knew the survey was going out. I also think that, the school committee needs to look at the big picture. Some of it that we are, really don't know is what is this school year going to look like next year. I talked to Dr. Conti, and my understanding is the Department of Health is going to set the guidelines as far as what the classrooms are going to look like. We really have no idea. And then once those guidelines are set, then DESE is going to roll out their guidelines sometime in mid-June. And then at that point, the school committee is going to have to meet as they normally do over the summer, but probably more often than usual in order to figure out what they're going to do. We need to talk about budgeting. There are going to be increased costs in cleaning. Are we going to supply masks or not? Or we need to have them in case kids bring their own and lose them. My understanding too is that there will need to be 2 nurses on site. One is going to be considered to be put in a clean room, and then the other one is going to handle the normal day-to-day nursing activities. So there's a lot for us to think about in terms of what the future is going to look like as far as the school committee is concerned. And again, I think it's important to get the input from everybody once we get all those guidelines, so we put everything together as best as possible.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Halfway done. The second question, which is going to go to Adam first, is give me an idea you have on how to improve remote learning based on concerns you've heard from parents, educators, or students.
Well, so I guess right off the top is we had said that one of the biggest issues was the internal chain of command in the district. So right off the top, I think that there should be a greater level of leadership from the top. From there, I think that what a curriculum should be composed of is it should be clear, concise, and linear, and it should come with some measurable benchmarks for learning. And I really haven't seen that from this program so far. It's been very scattered. I can see that with my own child, that no 2 days look alike. I know a lot of it's supposed to be around asynchronous learning, which they can do in their own time, but they do have these classroom sessions too that, you know, they're great because they get to see their peers and they get to see their teachers, but they sort of pop up out of the blue. I get the email on Sunday night saying this is what the week looks like, and now I'm scrambling to schedule my own meetings around it. It's obviously not all about the parents, it's not all about the students, but it's a fine line, and the program is just way too stressful on everybody, and including the teachers. The teachers are spinning their wheels way too hard and not getting the work satisfaction that they deserve. I've talked to teachers that are questioning their choice of profession at this point. And we truly are all in this together because, you know, in every household, we're all fighting some sort of struggle. But the teachers are right there with us. I've watched the teachers on their Zoom meetings, well, their own children nip at their heels the same way that I do when I'm on my Zoom meetings for my profession. So I just think having a more concise and well-organized curriculum, that there are benchmarks for improvement. That's the way to go.
Okay. And same question, and going to Catherine now.
Yeah, so again, you know, my understanding is that there is a 5-minute meeting that takes place every day with the teachers. It's a virtual meeting where they can discuss what's working and not working, and that's communicated with the superintendent of the schools and the principals and whatnot. So they are doing some sort of a daily meeting with the teachers. I also know that they are, you know, there are guidelines in terms of what is required of the teachers. I believe it's 2 hours per week, you know, that they're required to you know, meet with the students, because every teacher has a different situation. Some of them may have parents that they're taking care of. They may have kids of their own. There is, I think it's 3 hours of content per day. So it's a combination, I believe, of pre-recorded teaching, and then also the teachers are doing another recording of their own to supplement that. So, I mean, I believe they have been given direction, but that doesn't mean that there isn't room for improvement. There's a huge variety of, you know, what you could call superstar teachers who, you know, if you're a parent who has multiple kids in one household, you'll see, you know, what might be considered a superstar teacher. And then you've got other teachers who, again, are following and doing the best that they can based on, you know, what's provided to them, but there might be a perception that they're not doing as much, or there's some inconsistency. And I think that inconsistency might be due to the fact of their household situation. If, again, you have parents that are comparing everything. I think what we need to do, though, is learn from what's going on right now, and listen to the parents, listen to the teachers. And I also feel it's important to get the students involved, because they have a totally different perspective on what's working for them. And I just think that, you know, we should, you know, take a look at that, get together and find what works best. I think we need to have the right venue and listen and adjust.
Excellent. Thank you. And same question, and now to Steve.
Thank you. Yeah, the question is, do I have ideas about how to improve remote learning? I think remote learning is improving week by week. I think it's a new adventure for teachers. I think they're learning how to collaborate with one another and to produce new lessons. We have something called a choice board, and the choice board is an area where our specialists can create lessons. And apparently when we started this process just 6 or 7 weeks ago, I think there was something like 200 lessons on the choice board. And there's over 700 lessons now on the choice board. So that's an example of the specialists designing lessons to try to streamline what the teachers have to do in their own homes in terms of designing lessons. So the teachers are sharing these lessons, and not every one of them is reinventing the wheel, so to speak. So I think that that's good. The increase in collaboration is really important. I think teachers are getting better at it. It's been kind of an experiment that a lot of teachers were not terribly skilled at when they first started, and they're developing their skills day by day by all of the collaboration that's been going on. So I think that that's really important. I agree with the other speakers that talk about getting input from parents and students. We have to hear from students as well, because their input is extremely valuable. I know that teachers are getting input from students now because they're interacting with students. They're having sessions once or twice a week where they just talk with their students one-on-one, get input from them. So it's not like the teachers aren't hearing from the students. I think that they are hearing from the students. But it's important for that information to get passed up the line to the school committee, so that we hear what the students' concerns are, and maybe we can assist the administration in designing programming that addresses those needs. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. And finally, Carl, do you need me to repeat the question?
Please.
Okay. It says, the question is, give me an idea you have on how to improve remote learning based on the concerns you've heard from parents, educators, or students.
Okay, great. The suggestion that I would make to improve remote learning can be summed up in one word, and that's flexibility. This whole distance learning program since the school closure on March 13th has been a scramble to fill the void. And parents have been thrust into the role of homeschool teacher. Teachers have been trying to modify their in-person curriculum to fit a distance learning model. And administrators have been trying to support both teachers and parents. And the entire process has been trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. And so I think that going forward, the name of the game is going to be flexibility. We need to really have a long conversation about what we want learning to look like. And when Adam had mentioned asynchronous learning, that is a fantastic idea, especially at the middle and high school level. Students are able to complete their assignments on their own time. I know a lot of the middle school students that I teach, they have become almost nocturnal, where they're sleeping all day and staying up all night. And I think the same is true for a lot of the older students. Younger students, they still need a lot of hand-holding when it comes to distance learning. The sad fact is that we're going to have some form of it in the fall. It seems pretty certain. We're still hoping for an on-time opening, but it's looking less and less likely. So the name of the game is flexibility. The teachers need to have more training on how to properly implement distance learning. That is a big suggestion that I would make. And again, the flexibility to allow teachers to adapt their curriculum properly for distance learning, the flexibility to allow families to fit the distance learning into the schedule that works for them. A lot of them are working from home, or if they're an essential worker, they don't have a ton of time. So the adding that flexibility would be the key. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you all. So there you have it, our COVID-19 themed school committee candidate forum update. I'd like to thank all the candidates for participating and all of you for watching. As a reminder, the town election is on Saturday, June 6th, and the polls will be open in the high school gymnasium from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Due to the current situation, you can also request either an absentee or early voting ballot to mail to the town clerk's office. You can find all the information you need for that at the town website at burlington.org. Stay safe, and we'll see you on election night with all the results. Thank you.
Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you, Rich.
Rich, thank you,
Good night,
candidates.
Rich. Good night, everybody.
Good night.